Part 93. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 948. Second update arrived. Li Xinlan's words made everyone feel confused. It was obvious that she was unwilling to break up with Fang Jingwen, and she was able to question him in a threatening tone. It seemed that Fang Jingwen's impression in her heart was that she was too cowardly and had no opinion. Fang Jingwen himself realized this, and it was a bit exaggerated to say that he was enlightened, but at this moment, he really saw clearly the woman he had been secretly in love with since childhood. In fact, it's not that he didn't see the bad side of her character before, it's just that over the years, he had pictured her so beautifully in his mind, and subconsciously he was unwilling to accept the gap between reality and imagination. It was precisely because of his unprincipled ways that she looked down upon him more and more. For such a woman, he always hurt his family. Thinking about it now, he was really stupid. In fact, the real last chance belongs to her, okay. Although he said harsh words just now, he still decided to forgive her as long as the other party realized her mistake and was willing to correct it. After all, he is the girl he has liked since he was a child. Even if he sees her true face, he does not wish her to have a bad life. Now it seems that he is really being sentimental. Sister, I'm sorry. Fang Jingwen looked at Fang Jingzi. I was too ignorant before, which made my sister and my parents worried. I promise, I will never do it again, I really won't. My parents will be very happy when they know your decision, and Grandma. Fang Jingzi choked unconsciously and punched her brother. You bastard, we can all say that the key is Grandma, it's not like you don't know how bad your health is. Not only are you unfilial to her, you also let her worry about her. In a casual chat the day before yesterday, my grandma told me that what she was most worried about was that if you were still stubborn when she left, then she would really not be able to feel at ease, you bastard. Sister, I'm sorry. Fang Jingwen's eyes were also red. Thank you, sister, for waking me up in this way today. I just heard about it before, but I always lied to myself not to believe it. This time. He smiled bitterly. I want to. You can't even lie to yourself. He looked at Li Xinlan again. When you rejected me in the past, you always said that our personalities were not suitable, and I also found various reasons to convince you. Now think about it, you are actually telling the truth. I am a person who has made up my mind and agreed. No matter how good I meet, I will never change. But you are just the opposite. Therefore, our personalities are really incompatible. Thank you for letting me understand everything now. It's not too late. We can all start over and find our own true happiness. If I said something extreme before, I sincerely apologize to you, and now, I also sincerely thank you for making my future happiness possible. Li Xinlan looked at Fang Jingwen with some strangeness. In her impression, he was always obedient and had no idea. After all, is this man with an indifferent face, neither humble nor arrogant, the real Fang Jingwen, or the one who used to please her when he saw her? Is the flattering loser the real Fang Jingwen? Chu Xia and Wu Jingbo went back to the car and sat in the car when things became clearer. When Fang Jingzi and others returned to the car, they glanced at Fang Jingwen curiously. Lin Shuxia, thank you. Fang Jingwen took the initiative to thank Shuxia, which made Shuxia startled by him. What, mean? If it weren't for you, my sister would never have brought me here. Thank you for really thinking about me. Chu Xia waved her hand. Don't say that. The main reason for my help is that I don't want the Fang family to always be in a low pressure. This is extremely bad for the body, especially Grandma Fang's health. We should try your best to create a happy atmosphere for the elderly, right? Yes. Fang Jingwen nodded seriously and smiled sheepishly. If you had said that before, I would have been particularly angry with you and felt that you were trying to sow discord between our family members. My mentality has changed, and my perspective on things has changed. Looking back now, I used to be so narrow-minded that I almost looked like a psychopath. Chu Xia smiled and pointed at Li Xinlai, who was sitting in the back of the car. The one you should thank most is Xinlai. If she hadn't been sincerely doing good for the Fang family, how could she show her nakedness in front of everyone? This is necessary. Fang Jingwen looked at Li Xinlai again, and was poked by Lin Mengran. Li Xinlai came back to her senses, and just in time with Fang Jingwen's excited eyesight, she trembled in shock. "Brother Jingwen, what's wrong with you?" Ah, Fang Jingwen was stunned by her question, and then she understood that the other party had misunderstood, and said quickly, "Don't worry, the matter with Li Xinlan is really over. I won't be nervous about her anymore. I would like to express my gratitude to you. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you. As long as I, Fang Jingwen, can do it for you in the future, I will do my best. Brother Jingwen is too polite, and..." Li Xinlai smiled playfully at him. "When Brother Jingwen gets a new girlfriend, how can I dare to ask Brother Jingwen to do things for me? If I am misunderstood, I will be in trouble. For the time being, I don't want to think about feelings anymore." Fang Jingwen's expression darkened. "I don't want to lie to you either. Even if I see clearly who Li Xinlan is, I can't accept another girl right away. For the time being, I will focus all my energy on work. Men should start a career first and then start a family. In the past, I reversed the order." He looked at Fang Jingzi seriously. "Sister, I will rely on my own efforts. Becoming the pride of the whole family will never be difficult for my sister." "What nonsense are you talking about?" Fang Jingzi pushed him. "Before, you thought I didn't help you, but now, you have made it clear that you don't want my help. How can you go from one extreme to the other? Sister is still saying the same thing. When you really have the strength and can take a step further, sister will definitely help you. Otherwise, with your character, you will have to squat down for the rest of your life. As for your brother-in-law, you don't have to worry. According to his wishes, he has long wanted to follow your wishes. It was me who stopped him from doing that. In short, you have to work hard at work, and emotionally, when you meet the right one, you have to grab it. If you really want to make your elders feel at ease, you have to grab it with both hands. Do you understand?" Fang Jingwen grimaced. "Sister." Fang Jingzi quickly interrupted him. Okay, I'm not forcing you to find someone to fall in love with now. I'm saying that when you find the right one, you have to grab it. Having a good sister is really enviable." Lin Mengran looked envious. "God is unfair. Why is my sister like that and Fang Jingwen's sister is such a good one? God is here to train you." Yang Xiaoli smiled and pushed her. "Didn't you say it yourself? Before heaven gives you a big responsibility, Meng Ranyi must first work hard." Okay. Lin Mengran interrupted her bitterly. "I'll let you have a sister who looks down on you and wants to trample you to hell. Let's see if you can still say that. If it weren't for her, you wouldn't have grown up so fast, right?" Yang Xiaoli said while pushing Li Xinlai. "You and the boss have something in common, come and persuade her." "I also envy Brother Jingwen," Li Xinlai said bitterly. "If possible, I would rather not grow up like this. You really can stand and talk without hurting your back." Wu Jingbo glanced at Yang Xiaoli indifferently. Although suffering has a certain motivation, who wants to suffer for nothing? The so-called blood relatives, of course, should support each other. If you meet a relative who can only stab you with a knife. She spread her hands. "I don't think anyone will feel lucky. I was wrong. Why am I wrong?" Yang Xiaoli looked helpless. "I'm just teasing everyone and adjusting the atmosphere. Why are you so serious?" She looked at Chu Xia for support. "Youngest, you support me, right?" Chu Xia smiled and shook her head. "I don't support you because you picked the wrong topic." "Yes, I didn't get support, and I got another stab." Yang Xiaoli sighed. Okay, I won't speak anymore. From now on, I won't say a word. Seeing that she was really depressed, Lin Mengran quickly coaxed her, don't be like this, I'm teasing you. You yourself said you wanted to adjust the atmosphere. If we answer according to your wishes, wouldn't it be too fake? Already. That's right. Li Xinlai quickly agreed, we didn't say that on purpose just to cooperate with you. Besides, it's not up to us to choose what kind of sister we have. Whatever happens to us, I can accept it. And in fact, I do have such a sister, which makes me bear more responsibilities since I was a child. Now that I have grown up, I will not be embarrassed when encountering problems. If nothing else, after my parents divorced, Li Xinlan's life was not as good as mine. She has known how to take advantage of others since she was a child. After what happened today, she no longer has the ability to take advantage of her, and her hard days have come. Of course, I am not gloating over misfortune, I just want to say that everything has a cause and effect. A good sister like Sister Jingzi is destined to have everything go smoothly. My sister is like this and the elder sister is like that. She is destined to make more gains and suffer more losses. Fang Jingzi clapped her hands, anyway, thank you for everything today. If you don't mind, if you need me to run errands in the future, just ask. Lin Mengran quickly answered, Sister Jingzi, don't worry, I won't be polite to you. Yes, I won't be polite either, Yang Xiaoli said and laughed again, although I didn't help much, I still have to share a little bit of light, hee hee. So shameless. Lin Mengran poked her. Learned it from you. Someone poked back. Everyone. Fang Jingzi had to go to work in the afternoon, so Chu Xia asked Wang Zhongliang to send her there first, and Fang Jingwen also got out of the car. Fang Jingwen, we have to pass your house when we go back, come up, Chu Xia greeted. No, I'll take the bus myself. Fang Jingwen waved her hand and ran to the bus stop in the distance. Fang Jingzi smiled helplessly and waved her hand to signal Chu Xia and others to leave him alone, he will definitely not. I'm so sorry to give you a lift. R1152. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 949. 3 updates. Having solved both her own affairs and the Fang family's affairs, although the road ahead was still a bit bumpy, Li Xinlai's mood was rarely brighter. Growing up, she has adapted to the fact that life is always mixed with some dissatisfaction. As long as the overall direction does not deviate from the track, there is nothing to fear. Her good mood infected Yang Xiaoli, who had been feeling a little depressed recently. She unconsciously clenched her fist and waved hard, my spring is not far away. Several people looked at her in embarrassment, not knowing what to say. It felt like she was overstimulated and had gone crazy. Don't look like this, okay, Yang Xiaoli sheepishly glanced at Wang Zhongliang who was driving, and then glared at a few people, I'm not trying to encourage myself. Seeing you all in pairs, can I not feel anything in my heart? How can a person who has just lost love let go so quickly? You heartless people, seeing me laughing and joking all day long, do you really think that nothing is wrong with me? I'm just using my happiness to cover up my sadness. Please don't say it so bitterly, okay, Lin Mengran looked at her helplessly, look at Jingbo, and then look at yourself, do you have the nerve to be bitter anymore? Wu Jingbo smiled and excused Yang Xiaoli, she and I are different. She gains and loses, but I never gain, so my mood is naturally different from hers. Yang Xiaoli hugged Wu Jingbo with excitement on her face, you'd better be nice to me. Don't. Wu Jingbo squeezed her hand hard, if you do this again, I will take back what I just said. I suddenly thought of a question. After everyone looked over, Lin Mengran continued, Teacher Lan is a good match for our Jingbo, and Ouyi is also a good match for our Xiaoli. Why don't we just decide like this? You, the two people nominated by her rolled their eyes at her. Do you think this is going to the market to buy vegetables, and you can just see that the quality is about the same, and then you have the final say? I think what the boss said makes sense. Chusia looked at the two of them seriously. In terms of personality, Teacher Lan and Ouyi are really compatible with you two. Of course, this matter is not something we can say. I think what the boss means is, if you find the target, pay more attention. If the other party signals, don't miss it. Of course, if during the process of paying attention, you find that the other person is really your cup of tea, don't be pretentious. Who said that only men can chase women? Women are as happy as men. Yes, that's what I mean, and the youngest understands me. Lin Mengran hurriedly agreed, and gave Chusia a thumbs up. My youngest, although you are the youngest, you are definitely the best at analyzing problems. The boss who takes responsibility for his duties. Okay, then just call me boss from now on. That won't work. Lin Mengran stammered anxiously. In terms of age, you are the youngest. The titles are arranged according to age, so you can't mess up. As for Chusia looked at her speechlessly. I didn't steal Zhuojiang from you. Look at how anxious you are. As for you, I'm not worried about grabbing Zhuojiang. You can take it if you like, but this title is something I will defend to the death, otherwise, no one will listen to you. Everyone. It turns out that the reason why she cares so much about the title boss is because of this. Not long after Chusia returned home from school in the afternoon, third uncle Lin and third aunt Lin and Lin Wengzia came to the Lin family. Although Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were surprised by the sudden appearance of several people, they greeted them with happy faces. What? The wind has brought you here? Come in, come in. We are here to thank Chusia. Third aunt Lin grabbed Zhao Yulan's hand. Chusia has helped our family a lot. Yulan, you and Baohe have really given birth to a good daughter. Zhao Yulan unconsciously touched her head. Chusia, what did you do? Ever since Lin Baohe recognized the Lin family, the relationship between third uncle Lin and third aunt Lin had been light. If Uncle Lin and Zhang Xinwan came today, they would not be surprised at all. But the appearance of these two couples made them feel uncomfortable. No question mark. Although both of them are honest people, they are not stupid. Mr. Lin, Uncle Lin, Zhang Xinwan, and Lin Ziling are truly happy for their return. Mrs. Lin and Uncle Lin only accept them out of face. In my heart, I probably wish they would never be recognized. Such an attitude is of course due to the interests involved. However, they can understand the reason for the attitude of Mrs. Lin and third uncle Lin and third aunt Lin. Therefore, although they know about it, they do not reject it. In fact, this is just a layer of window paper. Not only the two of them understand it, but everyone in the Lin family also knows it. Mr. Lin must have made a lot of efforts secretly. However, people have different thoughts, and when the child reaches this age, he is not Mr. Lin. They can control it, and besides, there is an old lady Lin who supports them. After a lifetime, the old man probably knows who his wife is, and he will not fall out with the old lady just because of this matter. Moreover, if he really did that, the first people he would not accept would be Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. They could have lived well without recognizing them before. If the Lin family in the capital fell apart because of being recognized, it would be better not to be recognized. Recognize it? For these reasons, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan had become accustomed to the indifference of third uncle Lin and third aunt Lin. The sudden change of the other party really made them feel quite scary. Just as Chusia had changed her clothes and came out, third aunt Lin walked up to meet Chusia and grabbed Chusia's hand. Xia, you are really the lucky star of our Lin family. Why didn't third aunt notice it before? Third aunt. Chusia looked at her with a puzzled face. Where did you start talking about this? I am also helping the third brother today. I don't think I have anything to do with the fourth brother, right? Moreover, Fang Jingwen finally figured out that the happiest people should be the Fang family. If I really are the lucky star, then it should also be the Fang family's lucky star, right? Hearing what Chu Xia said, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan also suddenly understood, but they were still full of doubts. Their daughter was right. If it was because of this, the excitement of the third uncle and his wife was too far off track and too exaggerated. No, 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 you are the lucky star of our Lin family. Third aunt Lin pulled Chu Xia to sit down, smiled at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, and then said, I really don't know about Chu Xia helping the Fang family. We are talking about Wang Xiu and Xiao Min. If it hadn't been for early summer, I really don't dare to say whether Wang Xiu and Xiao Min could have gotten together. Mom, let me tell you. Lin Wangxiu interrupted her helplessly, it's a very simple thing, but you insist on talking about it, leaving everyone confused and confused. Second uncle and second aunt, early summer. Lin Wangxiu had just started, when he saw Mr. Zhao and Ms. Zhao coming out of the room. He quickly stood up and greeted the old couple, hello, Grandpa Zhao, hello, Grandma Zhao. Uncle Lin and his wife also quickly stood up to say hello. After some busy work, Lin Wangxiu continued to get to the point, Xiao Min has promised to marry me next month. My parents thought about what happened before, so they must come home to express their gratitude. That's it, Chu Xia looked at him speechlessly, this happened all the time. Isn't the reflex arc of the third uncle and the third aunt too long? Xia, why are you talking? Zhao Yulan scolded her daughter, then looked at third uncle Lin and third aunt Lin, this child has been spoiled by me and Bao He. He doesn't talk deeply or shallowly. Don't go there, take it to heart. We just like Chu Xia's character. She says what she says without hiding it, which makes people feel at ease. With a long sigh, Aunt Lin looked at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan seriously, thought about it, and then Mr. Zhao and Ms. Zhao smiled at Mr. Zhao before continuing, I know it was our fault in the past. We were petty and could not get close to you. When Xia helped persuade Xiao Min, we were very grateful, but we couldn't wipe it out, so we had less contact with you. This time, if it weren't for Xia, it would be impossible for the Xiao family to marry the Lin family. I won't hide anything from you. Although the relationship between Wang Xiu and Xiao Min has been settled, the Huang family is still unwilling to give up. Of course, they are not saying that they can't live without Xiao Min. What they see is the benefits of marrying with the Xiao family. The status of our Lin family in the capital is indeed not bad, but compared with the Huang family, there is still a big gap. If the Xiao family and the Huang family get married, then the status of our Lin family will plummet even more. Now that the old man is supporting the Lin family, you may not be able to tell it. But in 10 or 20 years, when Wang Xiu and the others are in their prime, the gap will naturally appear. As parents, we must consider the future of our children. Seeing that under the pressure of the Huang family, everyone in the Xiao family, except Xiao Min, sided with Huang Xinliang, we were not panicking. When Wen Hang and Huang Xinai were together, the Huang family still did this, which made it clear that they regarded Huang Xinai as an outcast and the Lin family as their enemies. If the Xiao family was dragged in by them again, the consequences would be really disastrous. After your third uncle and I learned about this situation, we couldn't sleep the whole night. We went to discuss the wedding date with the Xiao family, but we were always rejected with various excuses. Xiao Min's child's attitude towards Wang Xiu was also suddenly cold. It was so hot, which made us even more unsure. Unexpectedly, things took a turn for the worse. Suddenly, the Xiao family took the initiative to arrange the marriage for their 2 children. We were still confused at first, but after asking around, we found out that it was because of Mr. Xiaozhou that the Xiao family suddenly changed their attitude. Xia, if it weren't for you, how could Mr. Zhou help us? Therefore, we came over as soon as we got the news. Don't take it to heart that the third uncle and the third aunt did something wrong in the past. In the future, the third uncle and the third aunt will definitely not be so chicken-hearted. R1152. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 950. The sister-in-law's persuasion finally made Zhang's wife's gloomy mood clear, and there was a smile on her face. It would be great if I dare to fall in love like you said. However, even Ernie must be anxious. The telegram will not arrive until tonight, and the child must be worried about us. Hey, this was originally a happy event, but it turned out like this. It's not what you think. Thinking on the bright side, maybe the eldest brother escaped the big disaster with a small injury this time, and he will live a good life in the future, Zhang Limei said while looking at Zhang Lizu. Brother, what do you think I said? Makes sense. Well, that makes sense. People say that if you lose money, you will avoid disaster. My minor injury can be regarded as avoiding disaster. This is not a minor injury. It will hurt your muscles and bones for 100 days. I'm fine. Zhang Lizu waved his hand. I have a strong body. I can earn work points in a month at most. The weather will be warm by then. If I move more, I will definitely recover quickly. Brother, when will you change your restless temper? Zhang Limei looked at her eldest brother speechlessly. No matter how stubborn you are, you can't be cured in a month. Anyway, I was determined not to do it. When I came here, my mother also told me to let you rest in peace and recuperate. From now on, the second and fourth brothers will help with the household chores, and I will go and help when I have time. As for the work points, each of our families is allowed to contribute a little, which will definitely be enough for you and your sister-in-law to live on. Besides, your sister-in-law can still earn some work points. Brother, you can't be stubborn this time. This is a lifelong event. If you don't take care of it well, you will really not be able to live your life as you get older. You said you would wait until Dabeo got married. If your body is aching here and there all day long and you can't help him, will you feel better? So brother, you have to think like this now. You have to lie down for 3 months so that you can be tough for the next 30 years. Zhang's wife quickly echoed, what Li Mei said is that you can't rush to work. If you have our mothers in your heart, you can't take your own body seriously. You two sang in harmony. Zhang Lizu handed the lunch box to his wife. I'm not hungry today, so you and Li Mei eat the rest. There were only 2 buns in total, and he ate half of them. When he was strong, even if he was injured, he would not be able to eat such a small amount. Zhang's wife stuffed the lunch box back into his hand with dissatisfaction. If you want to feel better early, eat well. I'm really not hungry. I'll have lunch soon. I'll just eat more then. How could you not be hungry? Zhang Lizu looked helplessly at his wife. Do you think you are made of iron? How about I eat half of this? You and Li Mei will share half of the remaining one. Brother, I'm not hungry. I was angry with my sister-in-law for saying that I ate half a sweet potato. In fact, I also ate a pancake. Zhang Limei took out a paper bag from her bag and said, Mom, let me. The pancakes I brought to my sister-in-law are still warm. He handed them to Li Xiangfen. There are also the pickles you like to eat. My mother-in-law is so kind to me. Li Xiangfen sniffed hard. With a happy face, I will marry the Zhang family in this life. It is a great blessing. If I have the next life, I will marry the Zhang family. The patients in the next bed and their family members who were accompanying them had been watching the family making concessions, and now they all showed understanding smiles. No matter how poor or miserable life is, they know how to understand each other. Don't worry about not having a good life. Is Comrade Zhang Lizu here? At this moment, a man in his 40s appeared at the door, looking at the number on the bedside, and finally his eyes fell on Zhang Lizu. You are Zhang Lizu, right? I am Zhang Lizu. Hello, hello. The man stepped forward, took his hand and shook it affectionately, and shouted behind him, come in. A woman about 40 years old came in, holding a steaming lunchbox in her hand. She smiled at Zhang Limei and Li Xiangfen and put the lunchbox on the bedside table. These are freshly steamed meat buns. They are delicious. You hurry up and eat. A few people just stood there. They had no relatives or friends here. How could they dare to take advantage of this sudden good thing? Did you find the wrong person? Zhang Lizu asked tentatively. I am Zhang Lizu from Zangjia village, Hongxing commune. I'm looking for you. The man smiled at him. I am Li Aguo, the director of Hongxing commune, and this is my lover Lu Qiling. The director of the commune came to deliver food to him. Unable to figure out the situation, Zhang Lizu panicked and wanted to sit up, but his legs were still hanging. If he moved too hard, he groaned in pain, and beads of sweat immediately appeared on his forehead. Brother, don't worry, Zhang Limei quickly supported him and said to Zhang's wife, sister-in-law, please find a doctor quickly. Then he looked at Li Aguo and Lu Qiling. Why are you so nice to my brother? It should be true. As a member of the Red Heart commune, of course I have to be concerned. We have heard about the situation at your eldest brother's house. This is a mistake in our work. Director Li had just taken office, so none of the Zhang family knew him. Now that I heard what he said, I was right. The previous commune director's surname was Fang. Director Fang was a big help when Zhang Ernia was able to serve in the army. The Zhang family has always been grateful to Director Fang. After he resigned, Zhang Lizu made a special trip to visit him. Or maybe it was because he had such a good impression of his predecessor that he always had emotions towards his successor. In his opinion, Director Fang retired early because Director Li took Director Fang's position. It's just that he is a common man. He can't help him if he wants to think about it. The only thing he can do is not to inquire about the new director's situation. Unexpectedly, the other party came over like this. This made Zhang Lizu puzzled. All in all, his daughter was promising, but she was not something the commune would take seriously. Then what was the reason for the other party to treat him like this? Even though he is a common man, he also knows that being courteous for nothing will never do anything good. At this time, the attending doctor came in and saw several people surrounding the bed. He frowned and stepped forward to check the plaster on Zhang Lizu's leg. He snorted coldly, if you still want this leg, don't mess with it anymore. Moved. Yes, Zhang Lizu responded quickly. You guys, don't make the patient too excited. What he needs now is to rest peacefully. The doctor sniffed and said, don't let the patient eat too much meat or other things. When Li Aguo heard this, he understood immediately and hurriedly handed over the lunchbox. Doctor, are you hungry too? These are the dumplings made by my lover, please try them. The doctor glanced at him lightly, turned around and walked out. Li Aguo winked at his wife, and Lu Qiling quickly followed her out with her lunchbox in her arms. When the other party walked away, he looked back at Zhang Lizu. Brother, your injury is important. I'll ask your sister-in-law to make dumplings for you later. We can't offend the doctor. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 951. Second update. Chu Xia was also a little confused about the attitude of Uncle Lin and Aunt Lin. However, as far as their characters were concerned, the word profit could not be escaped from their characters, so she said to Zhao Yulan, Mom, no matter what they sing it's a trick, as long as we don't take the bait, we will definitely not fall into their trap. Zhao Yulan had a confused look on her face. That's the truth, but, obviously, they have changed their faces, but then they turned into smiling Buddhas again. How can your mother feel at ease? What's wrong with this? They dare not fall out because they don't want to offend the Zhou family. Didn't you listen to them? Jo Mikang has made a meritorious service again. Chu Xia deliberately sighed, in other words, your daughter, me and Jo Mikang, the gap has widened further, and there will probably be more people gossiping in the future. Yeah, why didn't I think of this? Zhao Yulan looked stunned. Everyone in my family is a promising person. It must be because of this that they don't dare to fall out. Yes, it should be, that's it. Mother, what you said is a bit irresponsible. How can you say that every one of the Zhou family is promising? Mother, please don't say this in front of the Zhou family. People will definitely doubt you. That's irony. Yes, the Zhou family not only has Zhou Mikang, Zhou Zikang, Zhou Huikang, but also Zhou Iping, Zhou Nanping, Zhou Zhonkang. Sighing, Zhao Yulan said with emotion, outsiders look envious, but only the family knows the hardships. It's the same for all families, it's not easy, hey. Hey. Lin Baohe also sighed, people, when you are utilitarian, troubles will come out, whether you are a poor family or a rich family, it is the same. You see, we were not welcomed in Dalan village, firstly because we were not relatives, and secondly, because we were poor, so they didn't want us to have anything to do with it. And what I see now is that both the Zhou family and the Lin family are absolutely in need of food and clothing, but... He slapped his forehead fiercely, I understand why her uncle and aunt's attitude has changed drastically. Zhao Yulan looked at him with confusion, why? For power. Lin Baohe frowned, during the Chinese New Year, my eldest brother and I sat together and chatted. The eldest brother's words revealed the meaning that the third child didn't really approve of his being the next head of the family. According to the wishes of the third child, Wen Hang of his family wants to marry a daughter of the Huang family, and Wen Jiu wants to marry a daughter of the Xiao family. In comparison, the eldest brother, Wen Bin, and Wen Ji are both looking for children from ordinary families to help the family. To put it bluntly, the eldest brother's side is not as good as the third brother's side. At this moment, the third child came to him so eagerly. He must have felt that the Huang family could not give him support and had no confidence, so he wanted us to go to his side to help him. I guess, 9 times out of 10, this is what happened, otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen out later and quickly come back. You too, think about it, is this true? Dad is so smart, Chu Xia gave Lin Baohe a thumbs up. When his father said this, it made perfect sense. Judging from the characters of Uncle Lin and Aunt Lin, they could do such a thing. But, isn't this person thinking too stupid about their family? From the beginning to the end, their family has been close to the uncle's family, whether they are elders or juniors. Suddenly, as soon as the third uncle's family showed their kindness, their family quickly turned away and turned against them. Do you think they are too stupid and spineless? But think about it, in the eyes of third Uncle Lin and third Aunt Lin, their family are just bumpkins who have never seen the world. If they can look up to them and beg them, they are already giving them a huge favor. They should burst into tears of gratitude, work hard and die. Zhao Yulan also figured out the reason at this time, and looked disappointed. At first, I thought they really liked us, hey. What's the use of having them look up to you? Mr. Zhao glared at his daughter dissatisfied. For that kind of person, you'd better hope they don't fall in love with him, otherwise, you'll be in trouble. Mrs. Zhao nodded in agreement, your father is right. If this kind of person really likes you, he will want your help in everything. He is so thick-skinned that he will complain about you whether he gives you a good face or not. Then you won't have to worry about dying. Lin Baohe quickly answered, my parents are right, we don't need people like this to look up to us, we can just look up to ourselves. Besides, what right do they have to look down on us? How can we be better than them, is it worse? Whether it's the older ones or the younger ones, we all have less to worry about than them. Think about it, is that true? I don't really want them to look up to me, I just feel that Baohe suffered a lot when he was in Dalan village. Now that he has recognized his true relatives, a little more human touch can be considered as compensation. Sai Zhao Yulan said with a lonely face, I have lived to this age and still think of things so simply. It's really a waste of my life. Feeling sorry for her daughter, Mrs. Zhao hurriedly comforted her, you are a child who cares about love, so naturally you think that others care about love too, but this person's character is different since he was born. Just say that you brothers and sisters, there are a few of them, but they are all the biological children of your father and I, and we grew up in the same family, so don't we all have the same personality? What your mother said is that your mother and I don't take sides, but your second sister and your second brother always have different opinions. So if your mother and I really pursue the case, must I regret giving birth to them? But what about the reality? Something happened to them. Aren't your mother and I as anxious and panicked? Therefore, family affection is also fate and cannot be forced. As long as we do our best, that will be enough. Yulan, this child has a clear heart, don't lead her into a ditch. Mrs. Zhao glared at the old man and said quickly to her daughter, your second brother and second sister are the biological children of me and your father, no matter what they do wrong, what's the matter? It's not like parents are picking on them. Mom, I know. Zhao Yulan interrupted her mother with a wry smile, am I so heartless in mother's eyes? Of course I know that people like her third uncle and three aunt are not close to me. Since they only want to use us and don't really get close to us, of course we don't need to get close to them. Mom, don't worry, your daughter is not a fool. Grandma. Chu Xia smiled and hugged Mrs. Zhao's arm, my mother is actually quite thoughtful, and she can definitely be tough when she needs to be. When we were in Dalan village, something really happened. My mother had never done anything wrong, and neither did my father. He usually seemed easy to bully, but when someone dared to bully my mother and me, he immediately turned into a big bully. Tiger. So, don't worry, Grandpa and Grandpa, my parents seem to be easy to bully on the surface, but if someone gets mad unreasonably, they will definitely not take advantage. That's true. Mr. Zhao smiled and looked at the old lady, her mother, don't worry blindly. Both children have something in mind, so we don't have to worry about them. But I've been living here for so many days, so it's time to go back and have a look. Let's just pack up and go back in these days, and come back when Xia gives birth to the baby. Grandpa. Chu Xia hurriedly stepped forward and grabbed the old man's arm, Grandpa, your body has not fully recovered yet. What can you do if you are in a hurry to go back? Didn't you say that when your great-grandson comes out, he can walk like flying? If this, how can I still walk like flying when I go back soon? I'm walking more and more now. If I stay home for a while, I'll definitely be walking as fast as I can when I see my great-grandson. The old man patted Chu Xia's arm, Xia, Grandpa has never left Xiaolin in this life. After living in the village for so long, I feel a little homesick, and I also miss the old friends at home. When I reach my grandpa's age, there is no place like my own home. Grandpa. Chu Xia looked at him with tears in her eyes, Grandpa Wan has moved out, and Aunt Yin will move out soon. If Grandma and Grandpa leave, my parents, Uncle Wang, and Aunt Qin will be the only ones left in the house. There were only a few of us living in the courtyard, which was too deserted. Grandpa also lived in a house with a courtyard wall when he returned home, and here is also a house with a courtyard wall. Grandpa Wan and Grandpa Qi both chatted especially with Grandpa, and they can be regarded as Grandpa's old friends. As for the crops in the field, if Grandpa wants to see them, he can ask Uncle Wang to take us all to the suburbs on Sunday. Besides, Sister Kiwi will be coming soon, and her uncle and aunt will also come to see her off. Grandpa and Grandma might as well wait here and go back together then. We can rest assured. If Grandpa doesn't agree, I will. Don't kiss me. Hearing the last sentence, Mr. Zhao and Mrs. Zhao were both in trouble. Kiwi took part in the college entrance examination after the new year. Needless to say, she did really well in the exam this time and was admitted to a university in the capital. However, enrollment is in September, and it's only June now. And the key point is that my granddaughter is about to give birth in September, and they won't be able to leave by then. Is this child sincerely teasing them? Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe looked at each other, their eyes full of smiles. Of course they hoped that the old man and the old lady could stay here. For them, the capital was also an unfamiliar place, and they had the old man and the old lady as their companions. It feels just like in my hometown, and I feel at ease. It's just that the old man and old lady have other children, so they can't be as messy as their daughter and let the old couple stay. This is better. Let's see how the old man and old lady refuse. In fact, Mr. Zhao and Ms. Zhao really couldn't refuse. Their granddaughter, with her big belly, begged them to stay, and used the gimmick that the yard was empty. It really made them feel sad. No, I had the heart to leave. The old couple looked at each other, and after agreeing on their opinions, Mr. Zhao looked at his granddaughter and sighed, "Okay, now that you are the eldest in our family, I will listen to you." Or 1152. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 952. Chu Xia was not embarrassed about her being the eldest child in the family. She calmly accepted the master's canonization and emphasized it again as a matter of course. After receiving the double affirmation from the master, she truly smiled. After the family had dinner, Zhao Yulan went out for a walk with Chu Xia. She happened to meet Mr. Wan and Sister Yin, and the two went up to say hello. Sister Yin was a little embarrassed to be met like this, and she responded with a red face. "What's better, Aunt Yin?" Chu Xia pulled her affectionately. "My grandpa and grandma agreed to stay with us. From now on, you and Grandpa Wan can go to my house to play when you have time, okay?" "Okay." Aunt Yin nodded quickly. "Didn't I go there today? To me, your family is my natal family. When I have free time, I just go there. That's because you still have some things at our place. What I'm worried about is that after you pack up all the things, you won't be too lazy to go to our house." "Aunt Yin, we are ready, but we can't do that. No matter, my grandma or my mother is looking forward to your coming. Don't worry, you and I have known each other for such a long time. It's not like you don't know what my personality is like. As long as I promise you, I will definitely do it. Otherwise." Aunt Yin looked at her seriously and said, "I'll sign. Is there a contract for you?" "Okay." Chu Xia also looked at her seriously. "That's the best. You kid." Sister-in-law Yin couldn't hold back her laughter at first. How could anyone sign such a contract? "Are you serious about teasing you? Have a look." Chu Xia deliberately frowned. "Just now, you kept your word, and now you're just teasing me. Do you and I dare to believe what you say?" Sister-in-law Yin solemnly promised, "Except for signing the contract just to tease you, everything else is serious. Don't worry, I'm not the kind of person who cheats." "Are Aunt Yin, Aunt Wan, Sister Yin Yan, and De Kun all doing well?" After hesitating, Chu Xia asked in a low voice. Since they were in love with each other and regarded their family as her natal family, she had to take out a member of her natal family. "Come on. That's good, otherwise your Grandpa Wan and I wouldn't have time to go out for a walk." Sister-in-law Yin didn't deliberately lower her voice and said, "We were kicked out for a walk right after dinner, and my mother-in-law was cleaning up." "That's good." Chu Xia smiled coquettishly at Mr. Wan, who came over. "Grandpa, Aunt Yin regards our family as her natal family, so I have to care more about her. You can't think I'm nosy. Seeing how guilty you are." Mr. Wan glared at her. "Are you looking down on Mr. Wan?" "Of course not." Chu Xia looked at him seriously. "I was wrong, please forgive me." "Forget it, since you also have good intentions, I won't argue with you." You asked me deliberately because you were afraid that it would be difficult for me. Do you really think I don't know? Mr. Wan looked at her funny. Do you really think I'm stupid now that I'm old? Hee hee. Chu Xia smiled coquettishly. Indeed, her original intention in asking was that she was worried that there would be a conflict between Wan Yuqiang and Sister Yin, and it would be difficult for Mr. Wan to be caught in the middle. Thinking about it now, she felt that what she was doing was childish. Even if Wan Yuqiang and her daughter really made it difficult for Sister Yin would not be able to tell the truth given her character. However, the personalities of Wan Yuqiang and Qian Yan are very different from before, and it was Wan Yuqiang who took the initiative to let Mr. Wan marry Sister Yin, so she would not make it difficult for Sister Yin. Even if there are any bumps in life in the future, sister-in-law Yin's emotional intelligence should be able to solve it properly. The most taboo thing about family conflicts is the indiscriminate interference of outsiders. Therefore, as long as no irreversible conflicts occur in the future, I will never say anything again. She thought of this, and Zhao Yulan naturally thought of it too. After breaking up with Mr. Wan and Mrs. Yin, Zhao Yulan seriously discussed the matter with her. Mom, if it were you and me, I would have thought of this just now, do you believe it? Chu Xia looked at her mother playfully and asked. I believe it, Zhao Yulan nodded. Sometimes you think more carefully than mother. Of course mother believes it, but looking at Sister Yin, she must be getting along well. Well, it's only been a few days, and you can obviously see that I've gained some weight and my complexion has become rosier. People won't change like this if they're in a bad mood. Well, I have been suffering for a lifetime, and it is a comfort to meet Wan Lao now. Zhao Yulan sighed and said, but in general, it is better to suffer when you are young than to be lonely when you are old. Chu Xia nodded and agreed, yes, it is quite pitiful to be old. Zhao Yulan looked at her funny, it seems like what you promised is true. At your age, if you can really understand this kind of thing, I won't believe it. Mom, look at people. Chu Xia looked at her mother unconvinced. Aren't the 5th grandpa and the 9th grandpa in our village just living examples? What don't I understand? The 5th grandpa and the 9th grandpa are both from Dalan village. Old bachelor. Zhao Yulan said quickly, okay, my mother has wronged you. Glancing at Zhao Yulan's face, Chu Xia said, mother is trying to comfort me. I know, and I also know that what mother just meant is that I can't really understand that feeling from my heart. I also know why mother is like this. It's nothing. Zhao Yulan smiled and rubbed her head. You kid, you are thinking wildly here again. Mom, you are the worst at lying. I can tell you are lying just by looking at you. Chu Xia looked at Zhao Yulan apologetically. Mom, I'm sorry. It was all my fault in the past and I made you and Dad worry about it. However, don't worry, Mom, I will never do anything to make you or Dad sad again, and I will definitely be filial to my parents. The words lonely and lonely will never be associated with our family. Regardless of anything else, Dad and Mom are so good, God would be embarrassed to do such a thing, right? You kid, you know how to make your mother happy. Zhao Yulan said, but quietly wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. The happiness she obtained often made her feel unreal. Her daughter completely guessed what she was thinking. When her daughter was disobedient, she and her husband were really desperate. Even if they were beaten to death, they would not believe that one day their daughter would be like this. The life they lived it would be something like this. Regarding the matter of Lin Shu and Aunt Lin, Chu Xia hesitated for a moment and did not talk to Zhou Mixang on the phone. With the other party's IQ, he would never fall into the trap of those two people, so why would she bother with this? To cause trouble for him? After asking his wife about her health, what she ate and what she did as usual, Mr. Tonkei hung up the phone reluctantly. This was the time he looked forward to most every day. The cooing words, the playful giggles, there was nothing he didn't like. Have you just finished calling your sister-in-law? Oug came in and sat across from him with a smile. "Sir, I would most like to discuss work with you at this time." "Huh?" Joe McSang looked at her lightly, with a slightly puzzled look in his eyes. "When you just finished calling my sister-in-law, you had a very good temper and usually don't yell at people." Oug spread out the things in her hand in front of him. "Director Joe went to Jun's house, and he asked me to organize today's notes. I'll show it to you when it's finished. If you don't have any objections, I'll seal it." Joe McSang glanced up and down and pushed it back to her. "Okay, seal it." "Yes," Oug responded, picked up the item and stood up. After a moment's hesitation, she sat back and said, "Sir, is there still no news about Josei?" "What I mean is..." She bit her lip. "News about life and death?" "No." Joe McSang shook his head. "As you know, entering there depends entirely on one's ability and luck. No one can find out about them before their experience expires." Oug responded with a lonely look on her face. She squeezed out a smile and thanked her, then stood up and left. Watching her back disappear, Joe McSang sighed. All in all, Oug has been working with them for a long time. After getting along with each other for a long time, he quite recognized each other. Although he usually laughed and laughed, he was absolutely rigorous and conscientious in his work, and he also made many pertinent suggestions. With her assistance, his and Johan Liang's work became much easier. However, this girl was also absolutely paranoid emotionally. She knew clearly that Zohai's choice was Yamiru, but she still couldn't forget it and would ask him about Zohai's current situation every once in a while. Because she came to ask again and again, he took the initiative to send someone to inquire, but the news he got back was that both Zohai and Yamiru had entered the depths, lost information, and their lives and deaths were unknown. The original words were that he did not tell Oug after asking for his wife's opinion. Wife, if such an answer meant that there was little danger, if she knew the truth, she might lose the goal of life. It would be better to leave the other party with some expectations. He doesn't understand women's emotions. Since his wife has done this, he should just do it. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. How can there be such a standard answer to this kind of thing? His wife asked him how he felt when he learned that Yamiru might be in bad luck. To be honest, if his wife didn't ask, he really wouldn't have noticed it. Thinking back carefully, he found that when he learned the news, except that he felt that he should politely tell Grandpa he didn't really think much about it. "It seems that you have no feelings for Yamiru at all." These were his wife's original words. Later, he thought about it carefully and found that this was really the case. "Therefore, I felt depressed that Yamiru's previous madness was unreasonable, but unexpectedly, she met such an unreasonable man who was crazy about her, or maybe that was her true love. If she can still live, I hope that man can really change her, and for no other reason, Grandpa and Uncle can feel more comfortable." R 1152. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 953. 1 Update. June Family. June Daodu June Kiwakuo and Johan Liang sat opposite Lan Alien. Lan Alien stared at the few people with a frosty face. The atmosphere in the room was mysterious and depressing. "Hey," with a heavy sigh, Lan Alien looked at the watch on her wrist. "Your father is coming back soon. I can't control you, let him handle it." "Mom." June Daodu just called out, but Lan Alien stared back at her next words. Originally, she had made an appointment with Johan Liang to go home for dinner today, which was a very happy thing. Ever since Johan Liang and Joe McSang came together, Lan Alien's attitude had completely reversed. Every time she brought Johan Liang to his home, Lan Alien would specially prepare a table of delicious food to entertain him. Kyokuo also likes Jo Han-lyong very much, so every time Jo Han-lyong comes to the house, the atmosphere at home is particularly good. After dinner, she wanted to go for a walk in the square of the community to eat, so she grabbed Kyokuo's hand and went out with Jo Han-lyong. After leaving the door, when she saw her and Jo Han-lyong's hands holding each other, Kyokuo protested and said that she was the sister, so she had to drag them in the middle. Kyokuo's intelligence is about the same as that of an 8 or 9-year-old child. In her eyes, there is no difference between men and women. Therefore, her request is purely a child's petty thinking. She looked at Jo Han-lyong at that time, and Jo Han-lyong immediately shook his head and said no. Although the other party has the intelligence of a child, she is a girl in her 20s after all. What does it mean to be dragged in the middle? In fact, she herself felt it was inappropriate, so she discussed with Kyokuo whether she would stop dragging Jo Han-lyong's hand and only drag Kyokuo. However, Kyokuo, who had always been a gentle person, seemed to be possessed by a demon and would not agree to anything he said. Later, she simply hugged a tree and buried her head on the trunk, crying so sadly that no matter how she tried to coax her, she had no choice but to discuss it with Jo Han-lyong and simply grant Kyokuo's wish. Anyway, the other party's mind was basically weak. Just a little kid. Of course Jo Han-lyong was still unwilling. Later, she coaxed her for half an hour, but not only did she not stop Kyokuo's crying, but she made Kyokuo feel even more aggrieved, so Jo Han-lyong had no choice but to compromise. Then, when the three of them came back, they saw an alien sitting in the hall with a tigerish face. She thought someone had made her mother angry, so she immediately asked with a smile, "Who dared to offend our queen mother?" As a result, her mother gave her a cold look, pointed to the sofa opposite, and sternly asked the three of them to sit down. Then, he started to question them. If Kyokuo didn't understand things, couldn't the two of them understand things too? Several people were confused. Lan Alien told them bitterly that when she went out to take out the trash, she happened to hear a few neighbors standing there chatting, saying that it would be good for two sisters to marry one. She didn't think much about it at first, but when they saw her, they immediately stopped talking and said hello and dispersed. She became suspicious. She grabbed a neighbor who was walking around a lot and asked what was going on. Naturally, she refused to tell her at first, but later, when she was forced to do nothing, she told her the truth, saying that some old sisters were running away, and she saw her two daughters being held by her son-in-law and making love to her. If it's hot, go to the square. She understood the rest without having to say anything. Of course she explained it to the other person. The neighbor was also very embarrassed and said that she didn't think much about it. When others told her, she also helped to explain it. But later, she couldn't compete with others for a few mouths. Having said that, Lan Alien understood that they were being polite to her. What would she think if she saw someone else's son-in-law holding the hands of their two daughters and wandering around? After coming back, Lan Alien became more and more angry as she thought about it. If she hadn't been afraid that she wouldn't be able to control her temper and make things worse, she would have run to the square to pull the three people back. June Daodu was helpless and angry at her mother's questioning and outsiders' gossip. People who lived here didn't know what Guo Guo was like, so couldn't they have some virtue in their mouths? But she also knew her mother's temper. When she was angry, no matter how reasonable her words were, she wouldn't listen. Jo Han-lyong now feels even more unjust. Every time he comes to Jun's house, he will bring gifts to Kyokuo. He will also play with her when others are busy. The reason why he does this is simply because Jungwakyo is Jundu. Do's sister was injured due to the special circumstances of that era, which is quite pitiful to say the least. Daodu loves Kyokuo very much and loves Wajaiwo, so he naturally wants to be nicer to him. Daodu even made an agreement with him that if Kyokuo doesn't meet the right one, they will take care of Kyokuo together when they get older. He agreed to all these, and he felt that this was what relatives should do. But everything that happened today made him suddenly wake up. If they really take Kyokuo under their care, they must ignore the rumors. He can understand his mother-in-law's anger, and he is not angry with her. His current silence is more of confusion, not knowing what the best thing to do is. While they were in a stalemate, Junfenshin pushed the door open and came in. He was stunned for a moment. Zhou Hanliang quickly stood up to say hello. Daodu followed closely and shouted Daddy. Kyokuo got up and ran to Junfenshin crying, Dad, woo woo hoo. Okay, okay. Junfenshin caressed the eldest daughter's back, frowned and looked at his wife. What are you doing? You just stopped for a few days, and you want to start again. Junfen Mountain, Lan Alien roared angrily, and the tears that she had held back for a long time poured down like a dam. Kyokuo, who was crying and sad, was so frightened that she stopped. She had never seen her mother like this before. Woolen cloth. When he saw his wife's appearance, Jun Fengshen's heart softened. Okay, okay, stop crying. Tell me slowly if you have anything to do. Look, you scared the children. After a long time, Lan Alien stopped crying and stared at Junfenshin angrily. We have been husband and wife forever. Am I the synonym for unreasonable troubles in your heart? How could I not know that you are busy during this period? If it weren't for something that I couldn't handle, would I be so anxious to recruit you back? It's better for you, you didn't even ask when you came back, you just yelled at me and got angry. Junfenshin, you have found a new supporter now, and you no longer care about me, right? If you find me so distasteful, it's okay. As long as you say a word, I will move out of this house neatly and I will never delay you in finding something happy. What nonsense are you talking about in front of the children? Junfenshin looked at his wife helplessly. Isn't it that I feel anxious when the children are like this? He looked at Jun Daodu who was sitting with his head hanging down. Daodu, tell me, what is going on? Jun Daodu glanced at her mother and saw that she had no intention of objecting, so she explained the cause and effect of the matter. At the end, she looked at her father seriously. Dad, of course I understand why Mom is angry, but I can't figure it out. My sister's actual situation is here. How could those people do this? If they have such children at home and others say this about them, what do they think? Can't we be kind to our sister just because of rumors from outsiders? Junfenshin did not answer his younger daughter's words, but patted his eldest daughter who was hugging his arm tightly. Kyokuo, tell daddy why you must hold Daodu and Han Liang's hands. Jun Kyokuo twisted her body without raising her head or making a sound. Guo Guo is obedient. If you tell the truth, Dad will definitely not scold you. Jun Kyokuo then raised her head and looked at him. Don't scold Daodu or Han Liang. Of course I won't scold you. Glancing at her mother and seeing that she didn't look up at her, Yun Kyokuo finally said, I'm the sister. I want to hold them both and take care of them. Guo Guo did the right thing. Yun Fengshan caressed her daughter's forehead and said, but Guo Guo must remember that when going out in the future, you can hold Daodu's hand, but you cannot hold Han Liang's hand. Why? Yun Kyokuo looked at her father with a puzzled face. Han Liang also wants to call me sister. Daodu is a younger sister. Like Kyokuo, they are both girls, so Kyokuo can hold Daodu's hand, and Daodu can hold Kyokuo's hand. But Han Liang is a boy. When a boy grows up, you can't hold a girl's hand, so Guo Guo can't hold Han Liang's hand, and Han Liang can't hold Guo Guo's hand. Blinking her big eyes, Jun Kyokuo looked at her father seriously. Then why can Daodu hold Han Liang's hand, and Han Liang can hold Daodu's hand? Hearing what Kyokuo said, Jun Daodu tore her hair in annoyance. She was used to dragging Zhou Hanliang with her when she went out, so she ignored Kyokuo's shortcomings in this aspect. Alas! Zhou Hanliang also looked uncomfortable. Although the marriage between the two of them had been decided, he was still extremely embarrassed when his sister-in-law said it to her face. Junfanshan sighed helplessly and continued to explain to his eldest daughter, Han Liang is your brother-in-law, the man Daodu is going to marry, so they can hold hands. If Kuakuo also wants to hold hands with a boy, he must wait until there is a boy who likes Kuakuo and Kuakuo also likes him. What are you talking about with your child? Lan Alien couldn't listen anymore and glared at her husband. It's not like you don't know what's going on with Kuakuo. Why are you teaching her this? Don't you think what happened today was caused by you never saying this in front of Kuakuo? Junfanshan looked at his wife seriously. Kuakuo's thoughts are very simple, and you always protect her by your side. Without telling her many things, she would naturally think that what she did was right. In fact, after you tell her these truths, she will understand. If you had popularized this knowledge to her earlier, what happened today would never have happened. Lan Alien's lips moved, but she didn't say anything in the end. She wanted to refute, but when the words came to her lips, she felt that what her husband said seemed to make sense. Because she felt that it was impossible for her eldest daughter to meet a man who treated her sincerely, she never mentioned the relationship between men and women in front of her eldest daughter. The eldest daughter, apart from being with her, was with her husband and younger daughter, and had no contact with such matters at all. Isn't the channel for side news too simple? R1152. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 954. Second update. When he returned to the division headquarters, it was already past 10 o'clock in the evening. After a slight hesitation, Zhou Hanliang went to the division commander's office. His wife was not there. The division commander usually stayed at the base, so he probably hadn't returned to the dormitory at this time. Sure enough, from a distance, he saw that the light in the division commander's office was still on. Inexplicably, he felt a little relieved after being suffocated. The moment the office door was pushed open, Zhou Mikang raised his head, glanced at Zhou Hanliang, raised his hand and closed the folder in front of him. What, are you being scolded again? Rubbing his cheeks vigorously, Zhou Hanliang looked at the teacher with a bitter face. Boss, is my expression so obvious? What do you think? Zhou Mikang leaned back and looked at him calmly. Your old mother-in-law has already accepted you, but besides her, who else can show your face? Hey, Zhou Hanliang sighed heavily and recounted what happened that night. Sir, I'm either blaming others, or I'm annoyed that I messed up. Daodu is young, has little social experience, and doesn't know much about people's hearts. But I am so much older than her and have been in society for so many years. I still make such mentally retarded mistakes. I can't forgive myself. Then what's your purpose of coming here to find me? The purpose? Zhou Hanliang was stunned for a moment, then smiled sheepishly. I just want to talk to the boss out of habit. It seems that there is no purpose. Zhou Mikang. Boss, I know you are busy, but I really don't know who to tell this kind of thing. If I don't say it out loud, it will make me feel uncomfortable. Zhou Hanliang explained with a smile. Sighing helplessly, Zhou Mikang asked, you just said that your mother-in-law was angry with you after it happened. What happened after that? Did your father-in-law say anything after he came back? What was the attitude of their family when you left? My father-in-law asked Kuakuo what he thought after he returned home. Kuakuo's answer was that she was her sister and wanted to protect Daodu and me, so it was right for her to hold us. Then, my father-in-law looked at us and said, understand, Kuakuo's simple idea has become a shameful thing when it comes to your place. What outsiders say is because some talkative women are afraid that the world will not be in chaos. Why do you follow them and mess around? Just let nature take its course. After a while, others get used to it and won't say anything. The mother-in-law didn't say anything at first, but later she acquiesced to the father-in-law's opinion. However, The father-in-law also told Kyokuo that she could not hold the hand of anyone of the opposite sex except her father-in-law. Anyway, his father-in-law taught Kyokuo a lesson about sexual relations. From the looks of it, Kyokuo didn't fully understand it, but he probably won't be so pushy in the future. By the time I left, everyone's emotions had calmed down, and my mother-in-law also apologized to me, saying that she only blamed me because she got angry after listening to outsiders' nonsense. Looking back, she couldn't blame me. Even though she said so, I still couldn't get over the hurdle in my heart. I promised Doudou that after 100 years from my parents-in-law, we would live with Kyokuo, but, alas. Jo Hanliang sighed heavily and stopped talking. I understand how you feel. You don't want June Doudou to be unhappy, so when she made this request, you agreed to it, because in your heart, June Kyokuo is not a big girl, but a poor girl. My child, you agreed without any hesitation. Later, if you think about taking June Kyokuo to live together, there will be gossips and malicious misunderstandings. However, you have already agreed to June Doudou, so you are too embarrassed to refuse. So, when the possibility that you are worried about becomes a reality, you blame yourself and June Doudou. Don't worry. Seeing Jo Hanliang eager to explain, Jo Mikang waved his hand at him. Listen to me first over. Maybe you don't want to admit what I said now, but if that's not the case, the June family has given you a clear attitude and said that you can get along with each other how you want in the future. Why can't you come out? It is a foregone conclusion that June Kyokuo will always remain at the age of 18. She only has one sister, June Doudou, and it is a foregone conclusion that her sister will take care of her future life. One thing her parents know very well is that even if they don't mind what others say now, in reality, the eldest daughter's happiness is more important than anything else. The only way to achieve this is to leave the eldest daughter to the care of the younger daughter. From this point of view, they are a pair of qualified parents who do not ignore their daughter's happiness because of their own dignity. This is simple to say, but many people cannot do it. On the other hand, this shows that they believe in you as a person, and they believe that you can take good care of their eldest daughter together with their younger daughter. This matter is an unsolvable problem. What you can choose is what to discard and what to keep. No one cares about this anymore, but you still care about it? Why? To put it bluntly, it was already destined that Jungwoo would become your responsibility from the time you chose Junduadu. Or I can ask you, let you and Jun Doudou live a happy life, and make Jungwoo your responsibility. Would you feel at ease if you were sent to an orphanage? No, Jo Hanliang answered without thinking. Then it's over. Jo Mikang sighed. I still say the same thing, the initial choice has already determined the final result. Rather than worry, it's better to let nature take its course. Many people are gossiping now because of the age of their sisters. After you get married, June Kyokuo will definitely live with your parents. By the time she really comes to you, she should have passed the age that everyone is talking about. At your age, why are you worrying here? That's right. Jo Hanliang slapped his forehead fiercely. I'm really over the top. Boss, I'm not really weird. I just feel terribly uncomfortable when I think about three people living in this kind of atmosphere. Actually, this is a kind of subconscious resentment. Let's put it this way, if the three of you were living together now, you wouldn't blame June Doudou, but it showed that you were unhappy. You said, who feels the most uncomfortable? Boss. Jo Hanliang looked at the division commander Zhongzi helplessly. Now you are not only focusing on the problems of the army, but also on the emotional issues. Is this something you have learned after getting married? You are just obsessed with being in power, and I guess the elders in your family must have put pressure on you again, so you are inexplicably angry. Boss. Jo Hanliang's eyes widened and he looked horrified. Do I dare to tell a lie in front of you in the future? This is too scary. Jo Mikang glared at him. Get out. He. Jo Hanliang smiled flatteringly. Boss Yingming, I admire you from the bottom of my heart. Not to mention, after your analysis, I felt comfortable immediately. It is true that if you are alive and always want to stop everyone from gossiping, it will be too tiring. It is better to just let nature take its course, as long as you have a clear conscience. Okay, don't be too high-key. If nothing happens, go back and rest quickly. After glancing at the calendar on the stage, the teacher said again, why don't you go home and take a look tomorrow? I haven't been back for almost a month. Don't blame them for having complaints against you. Jo Han-liang smiled bitterly, boss, please, don't send me home. What I'm most afraid of now is going home. The bombing can kill me. Hey, after hearing what he said, Jo Mikang sighed, feeling a little helpless. Jo Han-liang was about the same age as him, and originally planned to get married at the end of this year, but in the current situation, the task came, and he was not sure when he would leave. There was no guarantee that he would have time at the end of the year. In order not to let the two elders work in vain, he and Jun Daodu discussed it and decided to postpone the wedding to next year. Suddenly, the elders in the family could not accept it. Especially Jo Han-liang's grandparents, who are already so old. They were looking forward to having a grandson, but they finally got a little bit of hope, but in the end, it came to nothing again. It's strange that they can accept it. But in this matter, we can't blame the old man and the old lady for being unreasonable. They are all in their early 80s. In their words, after today, they don't know where they will be tomorrow, and they can't afford to wait. After hesitating, Jo Mixang looked at Jo Han-liang and asked, have you never thought of taking advantage of this period to get married? I've thought about it, but... Jo Han-liang looked at Senior Commander Tongzi seriously, we know what the situation is now. It would be too selfish for me to do this. At this point, he realized that Senior Commander Tongzi's situation seemed to be affected by him. To what category it was classified, he quickly explained, you are different from my sister-in-law. You have been married a long time ago. Jo Mikang waved his hand at him, okay, no need to put a high hat on me, I tell you clearly that I am so selfish emotionally. From the moment I recognized that she is the person I want to marry, no matter what difficulties I encounter, nothing can stop me from marrying her. To tell you the truth, before I married her, I already knew that there would be such a war, but I still married her as scheduled. It would be a lie to say that I didn't feel guilty, but let me choosing once, I still make this decision. When he called his wife early the next morning, Jo Mikang told her the truth about the conversation between him and Jo Han-liang, and asked solemnly, Xia, are you disappointed to marry such a selfish person like me? Yes. The person on the other end of the phone chuckled, but in order not to disappoint me further, you must keep your promise, otherwise, you will regret it. How do you regret it? Master Tongzi asked slightly anxiously. R1152. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 955. Listening to the teacher Zongzi asking herself how to regret, Chu Xia smiled and said unhurriedly, do you still need to ask me this? You are so smart, you can definitely think of it. Unexpectedly. Commander Tongzi answered quickly, besides, I won't let myself break my promise. Just rest assured. If it's not for anything else but for you, I will definitely not break my promise. There were some words that were left unsaid. After spending so much time with the division commander Tongzi, Chu Xia certainly understood his deeper meaning. She called him a rogue with a smile, then suppressed her smile and asked about serious matters. What Jo Han-liang means is that until the mission is over, he will not do it getting married. Yes. You didn't persuade him. How can I persuade you? Jo Mixang smiled helplessly, this is a matter of relationship between the two of them. Is it inappropriate for me to interfere too much? Besides, his scruples are justified to a certain extent. Didn't I just say that compared to him, I am the ultimate selfish person? Of course, the premise is that I have confidence in myself, so I must marry you home as soon as possible. Okay, okay. Chusia interrupted him, why did you turn to this matter again? Your selfishness has become a foregone conclusion, so don't show it off. I'm going to be serious with you now. Daudu called me the day before yesterday, and she sounded unhappy. Otherwise, I will call her later and ask her what she means. If she wants to marry Johan Liang earlier, you can persuade her. Sometimes, he thinks it is for the other person's good, but it may just cause pain to both of them. Indeed, people should make more plans for the other person's future, but who dares to say what his own tomorrow will be like? You should always worry about this and that. Probably more than half of the people in this world don't need to get married anymore. People who usually seem quite open-minded are so serious now. It's true. Okay, you can ask Jun Daudu what he means and then I will decide what to do. However, remember, don't bring this suggestion up yet. What we want is Jun Daudu's true thoughts. I know, why am I that stupid? Chusia couldn't help but roll her eyes. You think about your brother, and I also think about my sister. I will definitely not kidnap her with morality. After hanging up the teacher's phone, Chusia took a look at the time. It was estimated that it would be difficult to find Jun Daudu at this time, so he went to school first and made the call when he came home at noon. In the hospital office, it was not convenient to say certain things. After chatting for a while, I told the other party to give her a call when she had time, and Chusia hung up the phone. Jun Daudu was not stupid. He knew from the tone of the other party that he had something private to talk about. After finally getting off work, he quickly rushed home and hid in the bedroom to answer the phone. Chusia, please call me, what's going on? She couldn't wait to ask as soon as she heard the other party's voice. I just wanted to ask about you and Johan Liang. I was in a bad mood when I heard you on the phone the day before yesterday. I have been thinking about you and wanted to ask how you are now, Chusia said with a chuckle. You must have guessed that I am looking for you. It's your fault and you still pretend to be confused with me. Hee hee. Jun Daudu smiled coyly. Did master tell you about Johan Liang's stay at my house yesterday? Chusia admitted frankly, yes. I knew that he would report to the teacher as soon as possible, and the teacher would report to you as soon as possible. Hey, my poor privacy. That's it? Chusia coughed lightly. If you mind, I'll tell Zhou Mikang and prohibit Johan Liang from telling him his private affairs in the future. As for me, I will never listen to your private affairs. I don't mind, I don't mind. Jun Daudu stopped her in a hurry. It was a joke. She needed the other party to tell her Johan Liang's thoughts and developments in a timely manner. If not, where would she go to inquire about it in the future? You really don't mind? Really, really? Jun Daudu explained impatiently. I'm just teasing you, how can I take it seriously? It's not like you don't know that men's mouths are too tight. It's even harder to get something out of me. With your teacher's help in getting some information, I can more or less know what he is thinking. Otherwise, I would be like a fool who is kept in the dark. What are your plans? Chusia asked again. You ask me what my plan is. Jun Daudu smiled bitterly. It would be great if my plan can be effective. According to my opinion, while he has time during this period, we can get married quickly, but how could he listen to me? In early summer, I really don't know whether he really loves me or pretends to love me. He actually means to extend our wedding indefinitely, maybe next year, maybe the year after, or maybe even longer. Of course, I know he is thinking about me. He is just worried that if something happens to him, I will become a widow. To tell you the truth, I told him clearly that as long as I am with him now, as long as I can be with him if you live a good life together, there will be no regrets in your life. but he said that no matter whether I minded or not, he couldn't do that. He said that what he wanted to do was to marry me home when he was absolutely sure about our future life. It's not that when a man really likes a woman, he will do everything possible to get her, and he will never let the other woman become someone else's woman. But why can he be so generous? If it's not that I don't love you, or that I don't love you enough, I can't think of any other reason. However, I don't dare to say this to him. I'm afraid that if I say this, he will use Poxielu to break up with me. Hey, early summer, I have been struggling to death during this period, especially after what happened to Kyokuo yesterday. I felt even sadder. He was already far away from me. If what happened this time happens again, I'm really afraid. Listening to the sobs on the other end of the phone, Chusia sighed. I understand. What you mean is that you just want to marry Johan Liang now and you will never regret it, right? Of course, without thinking, Jun Daodu gave an affirmative answer. If according to what he said, something happens to him one day, I will be shocked for the rest of my life. Then have you asked your parents for their opinion? My father's opinion is that he supports whatever we want to do. My mother? After a pause, Jun Daodu sighed. As you can imagine, her opinion is the same as Johan Liang's. What do you want me to do? Chu Xia bluntly stated the reason why she asked about this matter. You must know that I don't gossip with you for nothing. Since I asked this, I just hope to reconcile you. Regarding the differences between the two of you, you are my friend and I hope to help you to the best of my ability. Chu Xia, you're the best. I knew you cared about me the most. Jun Daodu's voice became obviously cheerful. I guess the reason for your call just now, but I won't do it if you don't tell me. Pretty sure. I believe that as long as your teacher is willing to come forward, Johan Liang will definitely listen to him. Chu Xia, I tell you clearly that I want to get married now, the sooner the better. I must let him leave with some concern. I understand. Chu Xia sighed. Daodu, I will give you 3 days to think about it carefully, including doing your mother's work. If you are still so persistent, I will ask Zhou Mikang to help with this thing. Okay, Jun Daodu agreed happily. I understand what you mean. Don't worry, I will definitely use these 3 days to convince my mother to agree to our marriage. 3 days passed quickly. When Chu Xia received a call from Jun Daodu, the other party gave her a very clear answer. Her family agreed that they should get married as soon as possible. How did you convince your mother? Chu Xia asked curiously. After a moment of silence, Jun Daodu said, I am her biological daughter. In other words, Auntie agreed not very willingly. That's not true. Jun Daodu sighed and smiled bitterly. I feel that if I always act like this, I will definitely grow old before my time and just sigh all day long. What my mother is worried about is what I said before. I told her that if she really disagrees, I cannot get married. However, what I want to explain in advance is that whether it is Johan Liang who has moved on or for some other reason, as long as he doesn't marry me anymore, so I will be single all my life and spend the rest of my life with Kyokuo. R1152. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 956. This kid is cheating on her mother. No wonder Daodu said that she is her mother's biological daughter. Only biological daughters dare to cheat on her mother like this, right? If you are a stepmother, do people care whether you want to be single for the rest of your life? Of course, if she were a stepmother, she wouldn't think so much about her daughter. Is this the decision? Chu Xia emphasized again to Jun Daodu on the other end of the phone. Don't think I'm wordy. This matter is really not a trivial matter. There is no turning back. I have thought clearly. After a brief pause, Jun Daodu said, Chu Xia, If you are afraid that I will blame you in the future, I will write you a letter of guarantee and send it to you now, okay? What are you talking about? There was annoyance in Chusea's voice. It's not that I don't believe you, it's just that girls in love tend to be more impulsive when it comes to relationships, so as a friend, I must remind you several times. I assure you, this is definitely not impulsive, nor is it done to show off to others. I'll tell you frankly, when I was talking to my mother asked me if it was just to let others praise me for my loyalty. Only then did she choose to marry Jo Han Liang at this time. To be honest, I was very disappointed to hear what my mother said. I am her biological daughter. Even though I lived with my godfather and godmother for a few years, my behavior since we got along should explain everything, right? How could I be the kind of person who forces myself to make choices just because of what others say? I want to marry Jo Han Liang because I really like him and want to be his wife. And Jun Daodu sighed, with a hint of choking in his voice, and I'm really afraid that if I don't catch him now, I won't be able to catch him again in this life. It's not that I'm pessimistic, but I know what he will face next, so I thought that even if I could live with him for a month, it would be happiness worth remembering. What are you thinking about? Chusia interrupted her. Daodu, if you really think like this, I can guarantee that Jo Han Liang will not agree to you. He will think that you are pitying him. Then don't tell him, okay? Jun Daodu's voice was obviously more panicked. It's not a matter of me telling him or not. He's such a smart person, can't he see what you're thinking? Otherwise, why would he reject you so firmly? Daodu, you still haven't figured out the reason why Jo Han Liang doesn't marry you. Sighing, Chusia continued, because the reason why you are in such a hurry to get married is that you always think about the worst possibility. But, this is a fact. Jun Daodu's voice was full of confusion. If I know that he will be safe and I don't have any objection to when he gets married, why bother teasing him now? You will put Jo Han Liang under great pressure, so he didn't agree to you. Sighing, Chusia continued, indeed, you have thought of the worst, thinking that you will not regret it in the future, but, have you ever thought about it? What is Jo Han Liang's idea? Indeed, as you said, no one can say that they will return safely from this mission. So, if you let him think the worst and think about marrying you, will he dare? What he was thinking was, what would you do if something happened to him? If you marry again, will others treat you well? How can a person live alone without getting married? If he doesn't love you, he will definitely agree to marry you. Because he loves you deeply, he has to think about you in every aspect. You have to know that his personality is different from Jo Mikang's. After all, Jo Mikang has experienced many more things than him, and he is more sure of the successful completion of this mission than Jo Han Liang. He is also a bit narcissistic, so he does not have so many scruples. But Jo Han Liang is different. He looks outgoing and easygoing, but he is a thoughtful and emotional person. He will never do anything that he is not completely sure of. Therefore, if you want to marry him now, you must first put aside your worst plans, and then let him know what you value most. What can he bring to you? After a long silence, Jun Daodu asked weakly, according to what you say, do you still want me to talk to him in person? You talk to him in person, and Jo Mikang talks to him too. A two-pronged approach, the effect should be better, right? After some hesitation, Chusia told Jun Daodu what Jo Mikang had said. After all, this is the relationship between the two of you. The thing is, if you don't come forward and only let Jo Mikang come forward, it's still not appropriate. That's true. Jun Daodu nodded and responded, I understand. I will go find him in a moment. After the results of my discussion with him come out, I will decide whether to let your teacher and him tan. Shuxia, thank you, if it weren't for you, I still can't understand it now. Chusia chuckled, you can pull it off. Why are you asking me for these false politenesses? Let's solve your troubles first. When you get married, don't forget to thank the matchmaker properly. Zhao Yulan came in with a cup of hot milk. When her daughter hung up the phone, she handed the milk to her. Drink it while it's hot. By the way, I just heard what you said about thanking the matchmaker for the wedding. Is that Zioxian? No, Chu Xia said while sipping milk, it's Daodu. She is getting married too. Zhao Yulan sighed, I thought Zioxian was getting married to Qi Liang. When your aunt called today, she was still envious of Qifeng's daughter-in-law's birth. He's a boy. Who is Qifeng? Chu Xia regretted after asking. She didn't know many of the people I knew. She just answered the conversation well. Why did she talk so meanly again? Have you forgotten Qifeng? Zhao Yulan shook her head helplessly. When you went to grandma's house when you were little, it was Qi Liang and Qifeng who took you to play. Qifeng is the eldest grandson of your grandpa's cousin, better than Qifeng. The one who is 1 year younger than Liang. Oh. Although she still didn't know who it was, Chu Xia could only pretend to be enlightened and nodded repeatedly. Time flies so fast, he got married and had a son. After saying this, he almost wanted to bite off his tongue. Is it decisive to be pregnant for 3 years? Zhao Yulan also looked at her daughter's helpless smile and reached out to poke her head. You are so stupid, didn't you grab wedding candies when he got married? Chu Xia felt that her brain was a little weak. She had been in this era for 1.5 years. If she had gone to grab the wedding candies, she would have left an impression. If it was you and Chu Xia who had gone to grab the wedding candies, the child would have been born a little late. In this day and age, the elders are already anxious, and they must always talk about it. Why has she never heard of it? Although she was full of doubts, she did not dare to ask any more, for fear of really arousing my mother's suspicion. She could confess this matter to Zhou Mikang, but she could not confess it to her father and mother under any circumstances. She did not think there was any way in this world. Parents can accept this kind of thing. I would like to advise your aunt, this matter cannot be compared. If Qifeng and Xiaoyun had not gotten pregnant in advance and had to get married, Qifeng would also have to serve as a soldier. Thinking about it this way, Qi Liang still has a future. What does she have? So envious. Yes. Chu Xia nodded again and again, but she really realized it. It was probably because she couldn't keep the child who was conceived out of wedlock, so it took such a long time to have a child. This makes sense. When Qifeng got married, no one was really happy. Your aunt was still unworthy of Qifeng. Now when she heard that she had a grandson, she became envious. It's really. Zhao Yulan shook her head. No more words were said. My aunt is probably not sure about the marriage between my eldest brother and Zioxian. If Zioxian was still in the village or just an ordinary female student, my aunt would not be like this. Yes, Zhao Yulan nodded. Your aunt is actually worried that Zioxian will develop better than your eldest brother and will dislike your eldest brother. By then your eldest brother will be older and it will be difficult to find someone to like. It's not that I really envy Qifeng's wife for giving birth to a son. More importantly, I use this matter to complain, and I also think that we are here to help keep an eye on her. Xia, please pay more attention to this matter. If Zioxian has any different ideas, you have to tell your mother that she doesn't want them to come, whether it's your fat aunt or your eldest aunt. It's hard to do at times. Mom. Chu Xia looked at her mother with a speechless expression. What are you thinking about? You also watched Zioxian grow up. Is she the kind of person who is always in a hurry and changes her mind when she sees something different? Mom also knows that Zioxian is not that kind of person. The scary thing is that the two of them never meet each other. What if? Zhao Yulan looked at her daughter seriously. Mom knows that you don't like it when Mom says something bad about Zioxian, but Mom, It's better to think about the bad things in front of you than to have your claws hairy when something happens, right? Okay. Chusia sighed helplessly. What mom said makes sense, but based on my feeling, Xiaoxing really has feelings for her eldest brother, and she will definitely not do anything that mom is worried about. Originally, mom wasn't worried at all, but after listening to your aunt's nagging for a long time, mom was very upset. Zhao Yulan smiled at her daughter sheepishly, just in case, or else then it will be difficult for us two to be in the middle, right? I know. Chu Xia blinked her big eyes and looked at Zhao Yulan seriously. How about I call Xiaoxing right now and ask her where she is, who she is with, and whether her work unit has done anything to her? Is there a boy that she likes, or is there a boy who is chasing her? You kid, you're teasing me again. Zhao Yulan glared at her daughter and ran out of the door with the empty cup. 3 days later, the wedding date of Zhou Hanliang and Jun Daodu was set at the end of this month. In other words, there were still 12 days until they got married. Fortunately, weddings in this era did not require as much preparation as in later generations, especially during a special period and a military wedding. As long as both parties gathered their relatives and friends for a meal, it would be considered a formal marriage. Chu Xia curiously asked Jun Daodu how he persuaded the other party. I didn't do much persuading, I just did what you said. Chu Xia, you are pregnant now, so you can't listen to the phone more. I hung up before Chu Xia could reply. Chu Xia asked. When he came to his senses, there was a blind tone of beep coming from the other end of the phone. He looked blankly at the microphone in his hand, and someone instantly felt like he was doing something wrong. When she called Zhou Mikang in the evening, she asked Zhou Mikang if he knew how Zhou Hanliang figured it out. The division commander Tongzi said that he didn't know. Anyway, before he had time to persuade him, Hanliang Tongzi had already come to him to report the good news. I'm also confused. You didn't ask him why he changed so much all of a sudden, Chu Xia asked. How can I say anything about this? Zhou Mikang smiled helplessly. Could it be that I asked him, didn't you say you didn't want to marry Jun Daodu? Why did you change your mind in the blink of an eye? If I asked him, he would. If we don't get married, Jun Daodu still can't kill me with a knife. I hate it. Daodu is not as urgent as you said. Chu Xia was still a little shocked after not knowing the truth, so she said, it doesn't matter if they don't tell you now, I will know sooner or later. I'll try my best to help you find out the truth. Listening to the assurance from the teacher on the other end of the phone, Chu Xia couldn't help but flatter him. Husband, I knew you were the best. It's good to know. Hang up. Before Chu Xia could react, the division commander Tongzi quickly hung up the phone. What do you mean? Chu Xia was speechless. Why did everyone like to hang up her phone now? She was still stunned when the phone rang. As soon as she picked up the phone, the teacher's voice came over. Someone just came, so I'll hang up first. Is there anything else? Chu Xia shook her head. No. Commander Tongzi coughed. Scream again. What? Just call me like before. I called you that before. Chu Xia looked confused. Why did I call you before? Call me husband. There was clearly a sense of embarrassment and anger in the voice of the teacher. Tongzi, you must call me like this in the future. Oh. After expressing his understanding, Chu Xia changed the subject and began to settle accounts. Why are you yelling at me? Don't you know that pregnant women need to be in a good mood? Master Tongzi quickly said, honey, I was wrong. Well, as long as you know you were wrong, don't yell at me again. Can you do this? Honey, I will definitely do it. I'll forgive you this time. It's okay. After Chu Xia finished speaking, she quickly hung up without waiting for the other party to speak. She thought bitterly in her heart, you just hung up on me, now I'll hang up on you and let you also have a taste of what it feels like to be hung up on before you finish speaking. I was still feeling proud of myself when the phone rang again, and it was still the teacher, Zhongzi, who just said, "You haven't called me husband yet." Chu Xia slapped her forehead fiercely. She said that she had been feeling something was wrong just now. In the past, her teacher called her Chu Xia or Xia, but just now she called her wife, which was Huanqi. Zhou Mikang. Chu Xia called the teacher's Wangzi's name, and just as he yelled in his nasal voice, the teacher Zhongzi said quickly, "Okay, okay, my wife, you can shout whenever you want, don't force it, don't force it. Ha ha ha. Get out." Snapped. Ha ha ha. Get out. Holding the microphone and listening to a series of noises over there, Chu Xia was stunned for a while, and finally cleared her mind. Her face started to burn unconsciously. It didn't matter how much fussing she had with Zhou Mixang in private. Let that guy Zhou Hanliang bump into him. Then, before the blush on her face faded away, the teacher's teacher called again and coughed slightly, "Wife, I've found out for you what you want to know." Chu Xia didn't react for a moment, so she asked, "What's the matter?" The reason why Zhou Hanliang changed his mind. "Oh oh oh." Chu Xia responded several times, and said happily, "Why bother, just tell me quickly." Cough. "Why do you make so many garbled sounds?" "This matter." After a slight hesitation, the teacher, Tongzi, gritted his teeth and said, "Didn't Zhou Hanliang bump into me when I was on the phone with you just now? In exchange, he told me about his promise to marry Jun Daodu. After talking to you, Jun Daodu went to find him, and then cooked a table of dishes. The two of them chatted while eating and drinking. By the next morning, Zhou Hanliang had to marry Jun Daodu. Why? Think for yourself. If it was just Zhou Hanliang's matter, the teacher Tongzi would not have any taboos. It also involved Jun Daodu, so he would be embarrassed to tell the truth. To be honest, if he hadn't wanted to please his little wife, he wouldn't have asked Zhou Hanliang such a thing to death. Moreover, he regretted it as soon as the other party said it. This kind of secret, when he didn't know it, he was curious. "I know, it's so embarrassing." Fortunately, Zhou Hanliang knew him very well and knew clearly that he must have been entrusted by someone to ask about this matter. He expressed his position at that time that he would not mind his master telling his wife about this matter. Chu Xia couldn't imagine the reason for such an attitude of the teacher, Zhuangzi. She held the phone and smiled a little, "Hubby, I'm sorry for you, he." The teacher, Tongzi, who was originally feeling extremely awkward, immediately felt relieved after hearing the word husband. He immediately said that from now on, if my wife has any requests, she can ask for them, no matter how hard it is, she will be shameless. Embarrassing. After hanging up the phone, the worry that had been hidden in Chu Xia's heart finally disappeared. If she hadn't really hurt Zhou Hanliang and made up her mind not to marry him, Jun Daodu would not have made such a choice. There were still 3 days before Jun Daodu's wedding, so Chu Xia went to the department director to ask for leave. The courses for the first and second years of medical school are mainly theoretical courses. Therefore, even though she was pregnant, Chu Xia's grades were among the best in the department. When she asked for leave, the department director was very happy and even asked her, "5 is the 3-day holiday enough? Do you want to add a few more days?" After all, they haven't been back to their hometown for several months. Accompanied by Wang Zhongliang, Zhao Yulan, and Lin Bao, he went to buy a lot of specialties from the capital. They wanted to take advantage of their daughter's return to City A to visit their hometown. Although the parents over there are not relatives and can be regarded as severed from each other, Aunt Fat, Gang Shun, Grandpa Dagong, and Bao Juan's family are all concerned about them. Furthermore, Zhao Yulan is also concerned about Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan. The second brother Zhao Yushui has never written to them since he left the capital. The old man and the old lady must be thinking about it terribly if they don't say anything. Therefore, Zhao Yulan, Lin Baohe and Chu Xia discussed it and decided to go to Sitia first. Look at their situation and ask their opinions. If you plan to go back to your hometown, take them back with you. Before leaving, Chu Xia invited some of her friends to her home for a get-together. Although they had not been away for a long time, everyone got along like sisters and it was inevitable that they would be reluctant to part with them. You bad guy, you didn't tell us earlier. Lin Mengran looked at her depressedly. We are also comrades in arms with Daodu. She got married. She said she should go and congratulate her in person. That's good. I want to take leave. It's too late. It's not that I don't want to tell you, it's Daodu who didn't let me say it. Chu Xia spread her hands helplessly. She knew that you would all take leave if she told me, and she had already reminded me that she could only tell you before I left. At first glance, she is one level away from us, Lin Mengran said and couldn't help but laugh. I'm not talking nonsense. It's her who is close to you. How can I be jealous? It's not a question of distance, it's that she knows that I will have to take a leave of absence sooner or later, and it's a special situation. It doesn't matter if I take a few days off. You are different. Chu Xia looked at the few people seriously. I'm just afraid that you will think too much. She asked me to explain it to you, saying that when the baby is born, she will definitely not think about you like this. You are really thinking long term. Lin Mengran suddenly stopped talking and looked at a few people in surprise. Why do I have a premonition that Daodu has won the bid, so that's why you said that? Don't talk nonsense, Wu Jingbo glared at her. You can just say this in front of us. If outsiders hear it, it will kill Daodu. TCH. Lin Mengran retorted unconvinced. If they weren't all trustworthy people, I wouldn't have said that. Is it possible that you would still be spies? R1152. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 957. I'm too tired today, so I'll skip the update and make up for it tomorrow. Are you so unreasonable in front of Zhejiang? Wu Jingbo stared at Lin Mengran with dissatisfaction. I just want to remind you to pay attention. How come we are going to be spies? Jingbo, can you please stop treating me like a heartless child? Lin Mengran also sighed. If you think about it carefully, except when we are together, have I ever been so careless? Yang Zili immediately burst into laughter. Listen, the boss is so anxious that he started to drag out the article. You, Lin Mengran glared at her. Next time you are wrongly accused and looked down upon, see how I laugh at you. Boss, I'm sorry, don't be angry. Wu Jingbo quickly apologized. I was just talking in a hurry. Even if it was someone else who said that at the time, I would still talk too much. It's all my fault. In the future, I will stop talking, okay? Actually, you're right. It's right to remind everyone. You're doing it for the sisters, okay? As soon as Wu Jingbo apologized, Lin Mengran stopped caring and smiled sheepishly. Am I too sensitive? Everyone. Several people couldn't come to the scene in person, so they gave Chu Xia a red envelope with the allowance they had saved over the past few months, and asked her to bring them wedding candies when she came back. That's for sure. Even if you don't give red envelopes, Daodu will give you wedding candies. Chu Xia squeezed a few thick red envelopes and said with a smile, you have really spent a lot of money. Do you still have money to eat? If we don't have money to eat, don't we still have you? Lin Mengran glanced at her proudly. We have all made up our minds to eat from the rich. Do you think you can escape? Your Zhuojiang family is also a big family. If I don't eat his, I'll eat yours. Oh, now I know I can save money for my husband's family. Chu Xia clicked her tongue twice and said, I have to talk to Zhejiang about this later. It's really profitable to have a wife like this. You, I only eat you because I'm kissing you. Pull him down, who are you kidding? Chu Xia looked at her with disdain. You and Zhejiang have sex every day, Do you think I will believe you? If you said that you two worked together to defeat me, it would be more credible. A few people chatted and laughed until 8:30 before leaving, and Li Xinlai stayed behind. What's wrong? After everyone left, Chu Xia looked at Li Xinlai and asked. She was particularly silent that night. When everyone left just now, they ignored her staying. I believe they already knew that she had something to find. She did. After hesitating, Li Xinlai looked at her. I want to take a year off from school, but none of them agree. Let me discuss it with you alone and say that if you agree, they will agree. Chu Xia looked at her in confusion. Why do you have to take a year off from school? Li Xinlai sighed. Didn't my mother run away with a man before? That man spent all her money and stopped dating her. Now that she has nothing, she will definitely come to me. My sister is now he hates me so much that he will definitely help my mother and make trouble together. I'm famous enough for the trouble they made before. I don't want to stay here and let them torture me anymore. If possible, I would like to trouble you to introduce me to a job. It doesn't matter who puts in the effort, I just need to avoid them. This year, I won't leave my homework behind. When the time comes, I will resume school with you, and we can still be together. When did this happen to you? I just heard about it yesterday. Chu Xia suddenly realized, you mean, someone else told you that your mother was cheated, and your mother hasn't come to make trouble yet, right? Yes, it was my aunt who came to tell me the news. She asked me to hide first, but where can I hide? Li Xinlai sighed again, after thinking about it. I think the only way is to take a break from school. But a few of them said that it was not worth taking a break from school because of this matter. If they kept hiding this year and next year, as long as my mother wanted to find me, she would definitely not make it easy for me. They said they were willing to help me together, but I didn't want to trouble everyone anymore. I knew very well what kind of people my mother and sister were. Moreover, I was worried that my mother would be swayed by my sister to find Zhang Ji, so I decided to break up with Zhang Ji first. If there is fate, he will wait for me. If there is no fate. She bit her lip. I admit it too. Chu Xia frowned and looked at her. Do you think you are doing this right? It may not be right, but it is the most effective. As long as they can't find me, they won't be able to continue the trouble. And after a moment of silence, Li Xinlai continued, and Zhang Ji's mother doesn't like me in the first place. If my mother keeps making trouble like this, she will be even less likely to like me. Therefore, this is basically a dead move. Since there is no solution no matter how I play it, I might as well retreat in this way for a while. Maybe, there will be a turn for the better in the future. I'm sorry to trouble you all the time, but I really can't find anyone to help me. Otherwise, when you give birth to your baby, would you hire me as a nanny? She looked at Chu Xia eagerly. I don't want money, I just want to stay by your side and help you. Have you discussed this with Zhang Ji? No. Li Xinlai shook her head. I told him that he would be in trouble too, so why not just leave him a letter? Of course, if he stays with you, I can make it clear to him when he comes to see me. Do you know what your biggest problem is? Chu Xia looked at her seriously. I have wanted to say this about you before. You are very smart and tough, but when you encounter problems, you like to think of the worst first. Now, you just learned the news that your mother was cheated, and you haven't met her yet, so you want to abandon everything in front of you and hide out. But, will you really solve the problem by hiding out? I can't find you for now. What about next? You can hide for 1 year, but what about the next year? Or, after what happened this time, her personality has changed compared to before? I think, no matter what, you should meet her first. If she plans to go to school to cause trouble, isn't there a school security office? They let her in before because she is your mother, but now she affects the normal order of the school. You can shut her out. How to do this depends on your attitude. Children should be filial, but it also depends on what kind of parents they are. If your mother doesn't change at all, I suggest you be ruthless to her for the time being. Son. Otherwise, what you give her in the future will become capital for her to be deceived by others. In the end, she is always being deceived and you are always paying for her. What lesson does this teach her? R1152.